What's up, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with Commanders. And oh my goodness, what a game for the Washington Commanders. I'm still blown away by what happened. I'm recording this less than 30 minutes after the final snap against the Bengals, and we just watched a game that I know it's only 3 games in, but I feel like this game fans will be remembering for years to come. The Washington Commanders have picked up a 38-33 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football in prime time, in Jayden Daniels' primetime debut, in a massive win on the road as well. Massive win. Massive win for the Washington Commanders. They are now 2-1 on the year, 1-1 on the road. The Bengals fall to 0-3. A very the Bengals are not great. Let's just say that. They've dug themselves a pretty big hole to start off this year. But we just got to get to the big story. Let's just go right to it. Jayden Daniels, what a performance. What a performance from the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. 21 of 23, 254 yards, 3 total touchdowns. Only took 2 sacks, 141.7 passer rating. What I watched tonight was the best quarterback performance from a Washington Commanders quarterback in years, in maybe my life. Like that's how big like this game was from Jayden Daniels. Not only now like 21-23, only threw 23 passes, so didn't even throw for 300 yards. Yeah, whatever. The implications of this game going into the future now, I mean, like I'm on top of the world right now. That's how I'm feeling. This was a massive victory for Jayden Daniels, the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn's staff. Daniels had by far the best game from any rookie quarterback so far this season. It was spectacular. From start to finish, no faults. Like I said, 21 of 23. A completion percentage of over 91%. The highest completion percentage by a Commanders quarterback ever. Ever. A quarterback who threw at least 20 passes. Ever. What a performance from Jayden Daniels, an all-timer for a Washington quarterback, I would say. It was spectacular. It was fun to watch. Daniels delivered time and time again. Something we haven't seen from a Washington quarterback in a very long time. Like, this playmaking that he has, the accuracy down the field, the ability to step up in big moments. I can't remember the last time we saw a quarterback have all those traits. I wouldn't even say like prime RG3 was as good as the Jayden Daniels that we saw tonight. Spectacular from Jayden Daniels and this Commanders offense. I mentioned stepping up in big moments. Like I said, 3 touchdowns. Of course, the biggest one coming on these the go route, the stop and go to Terry McLaurin in the closing couple of minutes to ice the game. The Bengals then go down, scored another touchdown, but to make it a 2-possession game with under 4 minutes to go, I think. Jayden Daniels on 3rd and 7. They needed 7 yards. They got, well, what did Joe Buck say? Like 30. I don't know how much that was. 30. 27. It was 27 yards. They needed 7. They got 27 from Terry McLaurin. I'll get to his performance in a little bit. But what a game from Jayden Daniels. Delivered everything you could have asked for if you were Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury and his college offense that he ran tonight. This is the drive. Well, I'll get to the drives in a second. But this college offense that Cliff Kingsbury ran, incredible. No punts for Jayden Daniels. The Commanders 5 of 9 on 3rd down, 3 of 3 on 4th down. And then the other time they got to a 4th down, they kicked a field goal and they made it. Austin Saber coming in clutch. I'm not really going to talk about him the rest of the time, but good job, kicker. We got a kicker. Made all of his kicks tonight. I know I'm not going to get to him later, so good job, kicker. Good stuff there. Jayden Daniels, though, 141.7 passer rating, We'll take a look here at some of the more advanced statistics. EPA per play, 0.78, the best of the weekend. The best of the weekend. Total EPA, over 27 points added from Jayden Daniels. He has average depth of target. Oh, he's a screen merchant, they say. They say, oh, he can only throw screens. An average depth of target of 9.3, more than average. A completion percentage over expected of 28.4. An expected QBR of 94.2. Jayden Daniels went up against one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Joe Burrow. Burrow, who was going up against a pretty bad defense, we'll get to that later. But Burrow himself put up a great performance. 0.45 EPA per play, 19 total EPA, 9.2 completion percentage over expected. Daniels went toe-to-toe with one of the best quarterbacks. Is that saying, actually? I don't know. I think that's a saying. With one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and outdueled him. Just completely outdueled him. Two quarterbacks going up against pretty bad defenses. No punts. First NFL game, I think, since 1940, where there were no turnovers and no punts. Just Daniels outdueled him. He just completely outdueled him. So, Jayden Daniels, man, I am excited. I have never been more excited. You guys know, coming into the draft, Daniels was my QB3. I did have Drake May above him, but Daniels was still my 15th ranked prospect in the class. I was still very high on Daniels. I still had a mid first round grade on him. So, I mean, it's you're really seeing his strengths come out. And Cliff Kingsbury so far seemed like the perfect offensive coordinator to match Daniels' strengths and kind of limit Daniels' weaknesses. We saw Jayden Daniels scramble a lot of times today out of the pocket. Daniels was delivering downfield when scrambling, something we haven't seen him do over the last 2 weeks. We've seen improvement tonight from Jayden Daniels. That's the thing, too. It wasn't just Jayden Daniels playing like the last 2 weeks, but just statistically having a better game because he was going up against a worse defense. You could clearly see the improvement that Daniels has made over the course of this past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Daniels downfield was keeping his eyes downfield when scrambling to his right, scrambling to his left. He was keeping his eyes downfield. He was finding guys like Zach Ertz, like Luke McCaffrey, picking up first downs on like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. How many times was it 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 down the stretch in that final drive for Washington? I think they converted 3 third downs and a 4th down on that final drive, something crazy like that. It would happen 4 or 5 times at least when Jayden Daniels kept his eyes downfield, extended the play, delivered an accurate throw, and picked up a first down. He was dealing out there one of the best quarterback performances of the season out of any quarterback in the entire league, in my opinion. One of the best performances of the entire year. So Jayden Daniels deserves the flowers, deserves it all. What a performance from number 5, QB1, JD5, the Heisman winner, the kid, whatever you want to call him. Jayden Daniels, unbelievable, spectacular. I'm stunned. I am still stunned. Stunned isn't the right word. More surprised. Surprised. Yeah, I'd say surprised. Now, I thought this team would compete against this Bengals team. I did think this Bengals team was worse than many people thought they would be. They did start the season 0-2, and now they're 0-3, and they just lost to Washington. But, I was not expecting a Jayden Daniels masterclass tonight. I did tweet out on Twitter, if Washington were to win this game, they'd have to do it on the ground. They ran for over 100 yards, and they won. I said they'd have to run for 150 plus for them to win this game. They ran for 108. And I said I would be shocked if this went down to a shootout between Daniels and Burrow. I had a feeling it might have, but I'd be shocked if Washington won a shootout between Daniels and Burrow. It came down to a shootout between Daniels and Burrow. Daniels 21 of 23, Joe Burrow 29 of 38. Joe Burrow threw over 300 yards. You could say maybe he had the better game box score wise, but Daniel clearly had the better game efficiency wise. It came down to those two quarterbacks delivering, and Jayden Daniels in this offense down the stretch delivered time and time again. Let's just jump right into the mastermind behind all of this. Cliff Kingsbury, what a game from Cliff. What a game. This college offense, Cam Taylor Britt like to say, this college offense that Cliff Kingsbury is running, it worked to perfection. Let's see how this college offense did tonight. This college offense goes touchdown, 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 end of half, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, end of game. Cliff Kingsbury, guys. Cliff Kingsbury. I'm telling you, early season Cliff Kingsbury. I think Nico or Elite Takes, he also tweeted this earlier too. I agree with him. Early season Cliff Kingsbury is one of the best offensive coordinators of all time. He can make any offense, no matter who's on it, talent level, all that, turn into probably the best offense in the league. And this Commanders offense for the next few weeks at least is going to be very, 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 very good for this next couple of weeks. That is for sure. It is. I'm excited. I'm excited. Now we'll see down the stretch of the season again. I've mentioned it on this podcast before. Cliff Kingsbury's Achilles heel has always been maintaining the success with an offense down the stretch of the season. But early returns, week 1, week 2, week 3 here. Just saying. Cliff Kingsbury, guys. Cliff Kingsbury. He's calling up a good offense. There was a lot of mixture. He went to his bag a ton tonight. We had wildcat formations with Brian Robinson taking direct snaps. We had some jet sweeps. We had some very creative screen plays up the middle of the field with Zach Ertz. We had these bombs down the field from Jayden Daniels to Terry McLaurin. There was 2 of them. Terry finished the game, 4 catches, 100 yards, averaged 25 yards per catch for Terry McLaurin. Also had the touchdown at the end of the game as well. I got to mention, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. I know this episode's going to come out in the morning, so not sure if people stayed up for the press conferences and all of that. But Terry McLaurin on that touchdown called his own number. He told Cliff coming out of the timeout, "Hey, Cliff, give me the ball. They're gonna have me one-on-one. Toss me a go ball. Tell Jayden to toss me a go ball." In the huddle, Terry told Jayden, "Throw me a go ball on that 3rd and 7." And it was a cool breakdown from Terry on what kind of happened. Terry said that he saw the cornerback. I don't remember who the corner was. It wasn't Cam Taylor Britt. It was someone else. But he saw the cornerback kind of lay off. He was playing press. And so Terry was like, okay, I mean, that's fine. It could work against press. He could get slowed up maybe. Not really sure. But then Terry ran a stop and go against the corner. Easily fooled the corner. Terry gets the step on whoever the corner was. Gets the touchdown. A beautiful rainbow pass from Jayden Daniels. This offense has exceeded my expectations, let's say, in the first few weeks, especially tonight. Did not expect to put up 38 against the Cincinnati Bengals, but yeah, here we are. So this offense, the passing game worked really well. Like I mentioned, Terry McLaurin. We got to talk about Luke McCaffrey in that first half. The rookie coming out, LMC. Is he better than his brother Christian? We'll have to wait and see. But LMC getting it done for the Commanders, especially early on, the first 2 drives. McCaffrey had 3 catches, 44 yards on the day. Definitely easily. I mean, he caught all 3 of his targets. Easily the best game of his career so far. Again, it's an early career so far. It's only been 3 games, but getting involved. We had Noah Brown with 3 catches, catching all of his targets. Great addition there. This receiver room is starting to step up. Now, it might not be a guy like Diami. Diami caught a couple of screen passes, and that's it. But you still had guys like Luke McCaffrey step up, Noah Brown step up. Of course, you always had that check down that Daniels had to Zach Ertz. Ertz had a couple screen catches. Ertz also had a couple passes on a couple 3rd downs, some big catches there too. And then can't forget big man touchdown, Trent Scott. Jayden Daniels' first career touchdown pass goes to big number 73, the backup right tackle, Trent Scott. getting it done. Comes in as a 6th offensive lineman, reports in as eligible, and starts running routes against this Bengals secondary and gets it done. Great game from Trent Scott. So shout out to him. I think Daniels said after the game that unfortunately Daniels is going to keep that touchdown ball, not Trent Scott. Both first career touchdowns for both of them there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that ball. But I mean, Cliff, like I mentioned, Cliff was in his bag tonight. Again, he has this problem of coming out starting hot with his offenses. First 7 weeks of the season, infamously, is incredible for Cliff Kingsbury, and then it kind of dies off pretty badly towards the second half of the season. We are in that first half right now. Cliff has brought out a lot from his bag. We'll have to wait and see if it's too much or not. Will these defensive coordinators start to get a hang of what Cliff is going to bring with this offense every week? We'll have to wait and see. But so far, early returns are incredible. Cliff Kingsbury has put together a top 5 offense in the league easily right now. Any statistical category you want to go to, this offense is top 5. They might even be in like the top 3. Again, some of these stats haven't updated yet, but of course this game is going to help. Over 350 yards of offense, just dominance really against this Bengals defense and Lou Anarumo. I will mention Jayden Daniels early on in that first half really struggled against pressure, especially when Lou Anarumo, who loves to bring pressure on later downs, kind of brought the heat. Forced Jayden Daniels to kind of overthrow a touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin, who was wide open, and some other ones. But, I mean, Jayden stayed in the pocket down the stretch of the game. Again, that big touchdown to Terry McLaurin on the second to final drive for Washington's offense to go up by 2 possessions. Daniels took a massive hit, knew he was going to take a massive hit, still laid up a beauty of a pass to Terry McLaurin in the back right of the end zone. I mean, it's just stuff like this. You're seeing Jayden Daniels learn on the fly, and it's working. It is working. Every week we have seen Jayden Daniels improve more and more, and tonight was one of the best performances by a Washington quarterback in history, really. Like, that's how good his performance tonight was. Outdueled one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in a shootout. Spectacular stuff. Spectacular stuff from Jayden Daniels and this Washington Commanders offense. Cannot praise Cliff Kingsbury enough of what he's done with this offense so far. This college offense. So, all right, moving on to the defense now, because we do got to talk about the defense. It's going to be a little bit of not so great stuff, let's just say, with this defense. They let up 33 points, first of all. They really could not stop Joe Burrow in this Bengals offense the entire night. Now, again, this is Jamar Chase. This is T. Higgins. This is the Bengals offense with Joe Burrow, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, under center. So, again, this is one of the best passing offenses. This is the best passing offense, I would say, in the league right now. And you could tell the secondary really struggled, especially guys like now. Some of them made plays. There was a lot of broken up passes. I think Jeremy Chin had a couple. Benjamin St. Juste had a couple. You had Percy Butler had one. Sanders still had one. Frankie Louvu had one. Like, there was guys that were making plays. And especially in that first half, the tackling overall was spectacular. You had Frankie Louvu flying all over the field throughout the entire game. You had guys like Mike Sanders still running around. You had guys like Javonte Jean-Baptiste getting into the backfield, the rookie, 7th rounder out of Notre Dame, picking up his first career sack tonight. There was just guys flying all over the field. And you love to see it, especially in that first half. Now, the second half, it got pretty bad, especially in that fourth quarter. As the game went on, the tackling really started to become an issue with these linebackers. You could tell that, and these DBs too on the outside, you could tell that the exhaustion was starting to get to some of these guys running all over the field and stuff. But hey, they pulled it together, and again, they couldn't stop the Bengals from scoring a touchdown at the end. But hey, early on, it was really that first half that won the Commanders this game defensively. You held the Bengals in the second quarter to 2 field goals. 2 field goals. when they were in the red zone twice. They couldn't deliver. The Commanders had a similar problem last week, but the Bengals couldn't deliver in the red zone. They basically just had Commander syndrome from last week. So, it just shows the grittiness of this defense, especially early on in this game, kind of showed flashes of what this defense could be, which I really liked. Towards the back half of this game, you could tell they were getting exhausted in this, and Zach Taylor and this Bengals offense was really starting to get to them. But still, players were out there making plays, running all over the field. Bobby Wagner leading tackler with 8, Frankie Luvu at 7, Sandra Still, St. Juice, Quan Martin all had 6 tackles. There was guys flying everywhere. 65 tackles for the team in total. These guys were everywhere. No turnovers for the Commanders, though. Couldn't pick up at, like I mentioned, first game since 1940 with no turnovers and no punts. That's the one thing with this defense, I would say. I would say this was such a near perfect game to build the momentum on both sides of the ball, especially if Washington could have picked up an interception on that final drive when Cincinnati was driving down and they scored a touchdown, but they didn't. Turnovers still remain a problem, or creating turnovers still remains a problem for this defense. I really felt like at first they would, to be fair, I guess they got the missed field goal technically is a turnover, but yeah, especially the secondary, they need to pick up some more interceptions. So I don't know if they have one yet on the entire year. So yeah, but yeah, that's this game. Some final notes. I'm just still surprised, I would say, just excited for the future. This game was a great mental health booster, I would say, for the Commanders. 38-33 over this Bengals team that, again, they're 0-3 this season, but the past couple years with Joe Burrow under center, they've been Super Bowl contenders. So again, I get it. It's a different year. Each team's roster is different going into every season, but still being a team like this with a great pedigree of success over the last 5 or so years with Joe Burrow, it's just huge for the team. It's really just huge for the team. Huge for Dan Quinn. Commanders are now 2-1 heading into next week now. Big game next week. 4 p.m. Eastern time against who else but the Arizona Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury against his former team. Well, that'll be a good one. Cliff Kingsbury against Kyler Murray. I'm excited for that. I'll get into that more in Friday's episode. Maybe I'll see if I can bring on a Cardinals fan if I can find someone. But the Commanders pick up a win, a much-needed win, and maybe you could say a surprising win. They were underdogs heading into this game at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, but they get it done. And Washington Commanders fans, you've got a quarterback. You've got a quarterback. Jayden Daniels with an all-time franchise performance, breaking franchise records in this game. Highest completion percentage. I mentioned that earlier. In a game for a Commanders quarterback in Commanders history. So, great game from Daniels. Looked like a veteran out there. Now it's just going on to next week against a Cardinals defense that is not great. They've been inconsistent this year. We'll see what type of defense we get next week, but kind of just bringing that momentum into next week and then into the following weeks before you get onto some of the tougher matchups against Baltimore and against some other teams later on. So that'll be it for this episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. Left hand up, guys. Left hand up. We've got a team. We've potentially got a competitive team. That'll be it for this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. See you guys next one. Peace.